Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
Today, there's at 10 o'clock, we have a Bank of Canada rate statement. So there's some red folders there at 10 o'clock with the Canadian dollar. And actually looks at mostly Canadian dollar relative today. That's the main ones that we look at. There's a little bit of a crude oil inventory reports on the U.S. on Wednesday. So that's going to today at 10:30. That kind of goes hand in hand with the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar moves a lot with the price of the oil. And so we'll keep an eye on the US CAD right around the 10 o'clock time. And with that, let's go to the heat map and see what we have for strength and weakness. Right now, the Canadian dollar is showing some strength. This probably has to do with the preliminaries of the crude oil inventory report. So we'll be trading to the strength of the Canadian dollar and looking at pretty much the weakness of the US dollars in the bottom three. So US dollar, New Zealand, and British pound are weak. Canadian, yen, and Swiss franc are strong. And those are the ones we'll be trading. And we'll be going to the strength of the Canadian, yen, and Swiss franc, depending on what we are looking at. So with that, let's go to the charts and see what we can find. See if we can start hunting for some trades. I just closed out I had a hedge on a British, the UK 100. I had that overnight. I was in a trade last night. I did a hedge with it overnight. The one side of the hedge went profitable. I closed it out. Now I'm just waiting for the pullback and see where the other side goes. So
good morning.
Good morning, Matt. Yeah, if you get caught in a trade and you have two choices, oftentimes you have two choices. You can either just close it out and take the hit, or sometimes what you may do if you look like it's trying to trade in a range, you can always take a hedge. Now you can do that with the non-US brokers. You can take a buy and sell at the same time, and that will stabilize whatever drawdown you have. That will stabilize your drawdown. But you still have to unleash it at some point in time. And so what I did is I took it short up here last night. It came back during the open when the London session opened up, which was right about in this area right here. It opened up. It went down. I had a buy and a sell. I was up here with a buy and a sell both. I was looking for it to go longer. It didn't. It sort of stalled out. So I took a sell last night, and as it woke up this morning, it had a big profit on the sell. Right now it's hitting this green zone. I took the profit off the sell, and now I'm going to be looking at maybe take another position to the buy to help dollar cost average my range in between. It's just another technique to avoid, if you don't want to take the stop out, you can always take the hedge, but you have to unleash it. Someplace along the way you have to unleash your hedge. And so put some money in the bank, and now I'm waiting to look for another place to maybe take another position to the long side. And that way my average will be somewhere in the middle, which is where I could probably get out with a break even. As right now, the range is I'm looking between here and here as the main range. That's a $67 range or 67 pound range, depending on what denominations you're using. But anyway, this is the range we're looking at. Here's the low. Let me get this on a 15-minute chart. This is the range between this red zone, this green zone, and I'm looking at this area where there are red zones over here, but this is the range I'm looking at where it started developing some zones on the way down between this point and this point. And again, I want to see I like to see a nice range between that, and I like seeing at least 50 points or more in that range. So I'm going to get my objects up, template, get my moving averages in there. and see if we can get a bounce off of this area, which I would think we may just be able to do. And so we're just going to take this. And I'm going to draw my Fibonacci levels. Here's the low, here's the high. Oops, got the wrong one. Got the wrong tool there. Here's my Fibonacci range. And I'll get my upper and lower 25%. And I'll mark it right. Let's see, 25% is this line right up here. So right now we're in the extended zone range right now. It's relatively deep into this green demand zone. And we'll see how deep it goes once we get the turnaround, once we get the moving averages to start turning around on the lower time frame. So once it gets out of this range, then we will start looking at taking another buy position on that. So right now it's just range bound. It's beating the lower end of the range. It was at the upper end of the range when I took the trade. The upper range held, and I took this area short. Now I'm looking to see it be trading back and forth between this range and that. And so here's my middle. These are my target markers. And that's what we do with that. Any questions about what I just did? Now I can take this Fibonacci off of there because I have my zones marked. I know where my upper range is, my lower range. I know where my targets are. Now I can take this and wait for the pullback for it to, you can see where I bounced out here, came back out of the 25%. Now it's coming back in again. Here's a little bit of you've got a wedge forming right here at the bottom. Get us a little lower time frame. You can maybe see that a little bit better. And here is the low. Came out of the zone, came back in, went a little bit deeper, so it's not quite ready to make the change. But this could be a little bit of this looks like this could be a little bit of a divergence, and looks like we may have. We had a wick here, wick right down, basically came down just a little bit below that. But the fact that this price broke, we didn't get the close. We did get a little bit lower close on this one. So right now I'm going to wait for this one to come back out and come back and retest. This came back, it came in, went out, came in a little bit deeper, went out, came in. I like this little area right in here, although this got broken as well. From this little point right here to this one. That was where I'd be looking at this thing starting to turn around, but now this could be the head fake. And we have an upper trend from, let's see where I can see the wicks on this. We have a wick right here. There's the anchor. Here's a hit. Here's a hit. This is the head. This could be a head fake where it looked like it was going to go down lower. Like I said, this green range zone is fairly deep. So right now I'm waiting for it to come back up, retest this area, come back, pull back to here, and then start making our way up into these target zones. So once it breaks out of this area, I'll probably take another long position. That'll help dollar cost average my short that I had, or my dollar cost the other one that I had, which is now in drawdown. And then that would bring my target down somewhere into this zone right in here. And that way I can probably come out to possibly break even or maybe better. And that's all I have on that one. Let's see, what else do we have here? 15-minute, here's a Euro Swiss. Remember we said the Swiss was stronger. So we're going to bring the template up. So we're going to be trading to the strength of the Swiss franc. And this is the Euro Swiss. Check out where the Euro is. And the Euro is weak, the Swiss is strong. The Euro is this in the middle three. Swiss is still stronger. Middle three is still stronger. So we can trade to the side of the Swiss franc. Doesn't have the spread that I would like to see. I'd usually like to see a 3-point spread on this 30-minute chart. I'm only getting a 2-point, but that's still favoring the strength of the Swiss. So that means we're looking at strength to the downside. We have our moving averages. We're seeing a lot of consolidation. It's bouncing right off the zone. We have an arrow, but the range right here is very, very tight. It's only a 4-pip range, so it's in a very tight range. No trade on that one. And let's see, we can mark that down there. And let's see, New Zealand was weak. Dollar was kind of weak too. This, again, nothing here. It's 5-minute chart, very tight zone. 8-pip zone between the green, no trade. Take that one off. Let's check some of our other indexes. The German and we already talked about the UK. There's the German. Let's take a look at see what that's doing. Let's get to a higher time frame to see where our ranges are. That's the 15-minute. Here's the 30-minute. Here's our range right here. Green zone, red zone. This is the range we're looking at. High to low. Coming back in, it retests at the bottom. Let's draw our fibs and see if we can find something. First, we're going to put our moving averages up. Here's our moving average. We are in an uptrend with a strong pullback. And you can see I can look at this area right here. We have an uptrend with higher highs and higher lows. Here's the low, here's the high, here's the anchor, here's the hit. We have a breach of the hit. So right now, this low zone is holding. This is the green zone that we're looking at. We'll draw our Fibonacci from, I'm going to draw it from this area to this area since it is this is the channel that we're looking at. It did break the channel. This is my range. Just try and keep doing the same thing over and over again and try and be consistent. Here's our lower 25. These are the different, it's building some demand zones or supply zones up as we come down. So we got more, right now we have 2 red, 2 green. It's somewhat range bound. We had the bounce right off of here. You can see where this is the money zone. Here's the money zone from yesterday. You can see that's where the hit was. It's a low. Here's a higher low in the money zone. It's all within this 25% range. If I pull this over a little bit more, you can see where this is where the strong move came out, came back in, retested it, pulled back out again, made a new high. It's retesting this range, right, this zone right in here. And let's see what put our upper zone on. Here's the upper 25%, right in here. So this is our playground right now between the 2 blue zones. That's our playground. And we're going to see if it's going to go from here back up to this range. But right now it's giving us a little bit of we have to respect this green zone right here. We did that strong move down, bounced. Now we're going to see if we're going to get a formation here to be able to take it long somehow. And we're going to put our targets up. There's the first zone. It doesn't matter if you draw this in reverse, then these numbers will just be different. The 61 would be up here, the 38 would be down there, but it doesn't really matter. Just looking at this zone, those 3 lines. These are our targets. Take the fibs off and redraw the fibs on a lower time frame. Delete that. And now we go to a lower time frame and start looking for the reversal to start coming back up into these targets. Right now, it still has some strong downward pressure. We're looking right now, I'm looking on the 1-minute chart. I'm looking for the green to cross the yellow, which it did, but I want to see it come out of this zone first and then pull back. So right now I'm looking for, here's the low, here's the bounce. I'm going to see it come back up. Just get the ray out of there. I want to see it come up somewhere. I want to see it pull back into there. I want to see this pull back to probably about the 78% of wherever this first part moves up to. Here's the start where I'm going to start drawing the fibs again. I'm just going to project it comes on up to this area about halfway through. I'm just going to project that, just projection. We don't know where it's going to go, but there's a good chance it's going to bounce. We have the crossover. I want to see it come up. I want to see it come back down into this zone, or at least some sort of a pullback to be able to enter the trade for it to go to the upside. That's the pattern I'm looking for. We have a trend going. You can see where it's following this blue moving average. Actually, there's a little channel between the blue and the 62. Is holding that channel. It's coming back up into this channel. This is where I'm expecting it to bounce a little bit to come back down. And if it bounces, I'm kind of looking to see it come back down to. Let's just say it bounces up to the 62, which is not unusual. Then I bring this thing back, and I would be looking then to it to bounce back to the 76 area. And I'm just drawing this out, and this is if I get this picture, I can take the trade. It would be the zone that I'd be looking at to get into it, right in this area. And actually, you can even go on up to, I like between this, again, this is the 25%, lower 25 of this Fibonacci move to the upside. I'm looking for a little bit of a bounce. We've already got the cross where the 5 crosses the 13. I want to see it get out of this 25, lower 25, come back in, and then have the green come back down with the green not to cross through the yellow, and then take it to the upside. And then we can start looking at these targets. It's not ready to go yet, but we'll keep an eye on this one. And this is the German 30. I'll mark this one in the mix. These are some of the ones we're going to be keeping our eyes on.
Al, would you be able to have a look at the pound kiwi, the 1 hour and the 15?
Pound kiwi 1 hour. Pound kiwi, it'd be this one right here. Pound kiwi 1 hour, and what's the 30-minute here? Let me get the moving averages up. There's a moving average. Here's our strong move down. Here's where we're going to draw our Fibonacci's. I think we have the range here. Just checking, looking. That's plenty of range on that one. Let's look at the 15 minutes, see where the range may be on that. So might have enough room here. Pound kiwi, that's a 56 pip range. So this is a good range right here on the 15-minute chart. We are moving in. We are in an uptrend with a little bit of a pullback. It's basically this is coming out of the upper 25%. So let's draw the range here. Let's see which way we're going to go. Let's go with this range right in here. I want to try and come back, see if it's going to come back into this green zone. That's why I want my 25% to be in that, somewhere around this, in this area, because this is going to be the first higher time frame. I'm speaking 15-minute or higher is generally the higher time frame if we're trading off the 1 and the 5-minute charts. So my zone is going to be, let's see, insert. Get my rectangles in there. Here's the daily range. This is where we are for the day. Bouncing off the top. Here's the bottom. Again, this is our daily, this is the price action for the day. And you see it's made a higher high from yesterday's range. Here's our money zone from yesterday. It made a higher high. And we actually have a little bit of a pullback into this one. Actually, just see what, let me see how the pullback on this one was. This thing pulled back to, pulled back to the 38%, 38 to 50% level on that pullback. Trying to see where it is when the high, from this range pullback. Nice move up, 50% pullback, came up, made a higher high, pulled back, made a higher high. Now we're looking, this is the zone we're looking at right now. Here's all these wicks. Here's a wick right in here. Here's a wick with a higher body. This is a very significant zone right in here where all right bouncing right off this 200 moving average, which is pretty much right where our 25% zone is. Let's mark our charts. Let's see, here's our 50% area, which is where it hasn't quite come to 50%. It's now challenging the 38% pullback. Let's look, put our targets in. Go to lower time frame. I'll go to my 5-minute chart, see where things are. I'm going to remove my Fibonacci's and redraw the Fibonacci so we can look at the down move as it's coming down, and as it starts trending down, we're going to see it be hitting the zones. Here it hit the zones, pulled back. We have a little bit of a trend line coming in. Let's see, let me get my objects up here. Fibonacci, get rid of the lines on that. So now we have a strong move down out of the 25, back up into the 25. Now sort of it's building a wedge right in this area. Here's our high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Here's our trend where it's making lower highs, and we're waiting for it to start making lower lows to start the trend. Here's our anchor, here's our hit, here's our rejection, came up here, rejected. We have this little wick right in this area we're looking at right now. Here's the wick. Now the question is this little green zone going to hold? It is finding a little bit of support in this area. Now the question is, will it break this trend right in here? Also keep in mind you got the 200 moving average. Right now I'm just looking at this as being a pullback. Let's check our British New Zealand, see where they are with the strength. Here's the British, here's the New Zealand. That's stronger. New Zealand's stronger to the upside. New Zealand's stronger to the, stronger than the British. New Zealand pretty much equal right here. This is where the pullback is. So right now on the higher, on the 15 and 30 and on the 1 hour time frame chart, the British and New Zealand are pretty much neck and neck as far as who's going to take over the strength. So there's really not much of a trade on this right now, but it may be something to keep our eye on. Right now it's in this wedge, it's got to break through this. If it can break through this zone, then we have this area to be looking at. And let's see. If we take it from this trend from this pullback to this one and take it back up, you can see that anchor, here's the anchor, here's a hit, broke, come back up, retest. This thing could start going lower. We have all the moving averages except for this 200. Everything else is moving in the right direction. If I go to a 1 minute chart on this, and say that New Zealand was a little bit stronger than the British. And so we would be favoring the downside, but like I said, we're right in the middle of this green zone. There's really not much of a trade here at this point. And if we look at as I look in my other screen here, I'm seeing that where was it? The UK 100 is starting to, we had that bounce coming back up. We got the crosses. Here's our cross. Now we're looking at to see that pullback. See, I think I had someplace else here I drew it. This is the one I'm looking at here. It's pulling out of the zone. We're gonna have to get through this, but this would be the target. This would be the 50% retracement of this move down. This is our middle zone. We'd be looking at seeing probably breaking through here. If it can break through here, it's probably going to add up to retest this. We have this moving average and the 50% retracement of the Fibonacci all right in this little area right in here. That's probably a pretty good target if we can get this thing to start trending. It did break through this trend line. Here's our 62%, 62 moving average, and we'll see what happens. See if it can break through and then pull back, give us a pullback to start looking at this thing to the upside. Let me remove the Fibonacci's and we'll start looking at a redraw. Let's go to the, what time frame are we on here? Here's our 1 minute. Rally, base, rally, come back and should maybe see if it comes back and retest this to give us some room to the upside. Here's our low. Here's our coming up to our high. We did get the break of the moving average. Everything's moving in the right direction. We have the green, yellow arrow moving average. That's the blue one. It's the 62, all moving in the right direction. And it actually has crossed now the 62, the 200 moving average on the 1 minute. Now we're looking for the pullback to maybe be able to take it long and maybe use this for our next target. So we'll see. We'll see what it does. Keep an eye on it. But I want to see a pullback. I wouldn't mind seeing I'm looking for a pullback anywhere between the 23 and the 50 initially. And then the stop would be the 61. So let me draw that in there. So if this thing starts trending hard, usually they'll pull back to the 23, somewhere between the 23 and the 50. With a strong upward trend, it'll pull back somewhere between the 23 and the 38. And then you can maybe start taking long for the target, then would be up in this area. This would be the target. Draw the picture that you're looking for and then draw the, and then wait for it to fulfill your projections. I want to see a pullback into this moving average to retest the wedge that just broke through. Broke a trend line, head fake, came back through, crossed over the other trend line. Now we're waiting for a little bit of a pullback to be able to start looking for this thing to start trending up into our zones. And let me look on something else here. Any questions so far?
All's quiet.
All's quiet. Everybody's in deep thought. Yes, I still like to see a little bit of a pullback and then start looking at this for a target. There's a nice little rally, small little base, rally, basing some more, stronger basing. Have this zone up here, but I want to see the pullback.
Is your expectation that it's reverse trend and it's going to start?
Yeah, I think it's reversing trending. I think it's going to start trending back to the upside. But I still want, this could be the first move out of the zone, and I'd like to see it come back into retest, pick up a few more stragglers, and then take it on to the, up to our, this is our first target right here. If it can come up here and cross and close above this orange line and then get a pullback, we're still good, because then we're looking at this starting to trend to, they get a target, pull back, get some more people, come back, there's the next target, pull back, and keep on. I would like to be seeing a little bit of a, we have the move up, get a close, pull back, retest, usually it's 25% or more. And then the next one would be looking at this for come back up to this line above the close. Now I'm looking, when I say close, I'm looking for a 5-minute close more so than a 1-minute close. And then we have another pullback. It may come back down here, but not close. That would be okay, except it still closes above here. And then we can start looking for the next target up there. Now we're up to the upper third, and now we're coming back up into this zone up in here. And this part could close anywhere. You may get a wick up, come back in, close where this can't hold. That's looking like there's some sellers up this area. This is pretty much the pattern that I'm looking for. And we'll see, but I'm still waiting for it to pull back. It hasn't pulled back yet. Just keep an eye on it. Questions?
No questions about
Bitcoin,
this?
Bitcoin.
Like this?
Bitcoin, yeah. Like cryptos have been really, we've been taking some heat on the cryptos here lately. Let's see where we have. If anybody's in a long-term buy position on the cryptos, I would just accept the fact that it's going to be they're volatile and just keep on. I don't think cryptos are going away anytime soon. Oh, get my moving averages in. But they are volatile. Let's see, this would be my range. See, this would be the range I'd be looking at over here to here. It took a lot of heat yesterday. And it's coming up into the upper 25. This is my daily zone. That's just about knocking on the door of the 25. Here's the lower 25. So here's our daily range. It did make a higher range, higher big move down. Now it's coming to retest this area. If it can break through the top of this zone, it's probably going to start, it may start going up a little bit higher again. But right now, this is the playground we're looking at. This is a sideways, this is the sideways range, and you see it trending with higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and we'll wait for, see how it reacts up to this area. And let's see, what else do we have here? We can go with, here's our target zones to the down on the pullback and the down on the reversal. These are our targets. And remove the fibs and redraw the fibs. So now we know we're getting into the upper 25. Now basically we're going to be looking for the pullback. How we know how deep it's going to go up in here. Wait for it to pull back out of the zone, come back in, retest it, give us a wherever the high may be, have a little bit of a pullback to retest, and then looking for it to come down and start trending. And that's the Bitcoin. Let's see how our German 30 is doing here. Came up. Didn't even come back to the 23%. We're still waiting for it to come back. See where that 23% pullback is going to be. Came out of the zone. We still have, so right now we have to be moving all these, move all these over here a little bit. Here's the move out. We're still looking at it. I'm going to guess it's going to probably retest this 62, this 200 moving average. Pull back. Now we can move this thing up a little bit. And it may not come back into the zone, but I would suspect it will. Again, you don't know what it's going to do. You're just going to draw the picture you're looking for. And if you get the picture, then you take the trade. If you don't get the picture, wait for one that does.
What are your thoughts on using fractals for your analysis, Al?
Well, fractals are good. I don't usually draw. They kind of clutter up my screen, so I don't usually use the fractals. But basically, the fractals, all it's doing is telling you where that pivot high is. I can usually, my eyes can just usually see you have a high with two lower highs on either side. There's your fractal right here. Here's a high, here's a lower high, here's a lower high. That's a fractal. Now this fractal was now creating, and you almost have like, I'm gonna say you probably have two fractals right here. This one right here, no, actually this one went because this, you would not have the fractal on this one because you didn't get the second lower close on the other side. So right now, this one right here would be the fractal. You have a lower close, lower close, lower high, lower high, lower close, lower high, lower high, lower close, two over the, from the peak. This one right here would be a fractal. I mean, if you want to draw them, that's fine. I just don't want to. And if you do that, it's just go with the indicator, Williams fractal. I draw them yellow, and I see you probably see a fractal right there, and there it is. Fractals are good to help you help your eye can't see it. After a while, your eye will just see what they are. But you see, even like with this fractal high, you really didn't get much of a pullback on it. If I were to take this thing from this fractal, you can see it didn't even pull back into. So I want to see a stronger pullback. I'm okay with a 23 to 38% pullback. If it goes much less than that, I'm just you're just trying to jump on the train, but you don't know where the. I want to get the pullbacks, not the run. They'll probably, you know, this could form another fractal right up in here. Right now, we have two on the either side that are lower highs and lower closes, and we need two closes on the other side of this pivot, and then that would generate another fractal. Then we could probably be looking at that for a pullback. This one kind of came close. If I draw this one kind of came close to the pullback. It came back to the 11, but I said I'm looking for a 23.6 pullback or more before I want to try and jump into the trade. And if it doesn't let you in, it just doesn't let you in. That's just the way it goes. Any other questions? Matt, do you have anything to add? Eva, do you have anything you want to talk about or mention while we're looking at it?
Not really. Not at this time, no.
How about you, Mr.
If you
Mr.
want to
Matt?
have a look at the S&P,
We could do that.
I wouldn't mind your thoughts on it. And the NASDAQ, if time permits.
I think we can do that. Right now, we're looking at, so we'll keep our eye on this. Well, I'm not going to probably trade the Bitcoin, but I'll just put that one off here. And let's see, where is this one? It's the German 30. We'll keep an eye on the German 30. See where this thing ends up. There's a little fractal right there. I didn't even know I had the fractals on that one. There's the high. I'm going to put it up there. I'm going to see where the pullback is. Right now we're looking for, I can move this one up. Here's my 23% to my 38% zone. I'll do it like this. I like even this little halfway point so I can kind of gauge how far back it goes into the zone. And we'll see. Right now we have a high there, so I can put this right here and see where this takes us. Here's my 23. Pull it back to the 23 to the, maybe you take two of the zones and see how deep it gets into this area. I'm going to suspect it's going to wick down into this area and pull back, and that may give us an opportunity to maybe take a long right here. If it goes deep enough into and test the 38, I can maybe put a buy stop in at the 23%, and then I can try and go for that range right here, which would be about $15 move to the upside on the to the red zone. That could get me in and get out when it comes up to retest this level. Because usually you're going to get a pullback, come back to retest. Here's our move. Here's the part of the picture we're looking at. And so we don't always know we know what we're looking for. And still didn't pull back. This one's still retesting, but this I'm looking for a pullback at least to here. I'd like to see it go a little bit deeper, preferably. Because the deeper it goes in, and when it comes back up to retest this zero line up here, that gives you a little bit more room for to get in and get out of the trade. If it breaks, then you're really into a nice trade. Could be into a nice trade for the trending.
Hey guys,
yeah.
so I'm looking at a potential buy setup on Dow Jones.
You're Dow Jones buddy. They're Dow Jones favorite here. So
now I am. Last month, no, because I couldn't get in with a tight enough stop loss, but
Matt's been working on a nice little system that's showing some promise. Once we get it concluded, and we will start sharing it with you. But right now, it's still in the research and development stage.
R&D, bro, R&D.
Yep.
So I'm in the trade already. Just a heads up for a buy.
US 30. Did you just get in?
I got in on about 3 candles ago. 3 1-minute candles ago. 3 minutes ago.
Let's see. Where's our range here? I'm going to use this one right here. It's funny about when we in these rooms, we're constantly looking for. We're not looking for the next new shiny object, but when we look at some things on how to improve what we have, we work with it and see if there's any validity to it, and if there is, then you're in the right spot to be the first ones to hear about it.
Yeah.
So this is
Let's put it that way.
This is our Dow Jones 30. This is the upper quarter. It had a nice look from this pullback. It pulled right back to the 61, and now it's starting to reverse. So if you're looking at this for a pullback, it was a strong move up overnight, based overnight. Here's our first pullback, and we had a low. Yesterday's low. It's making a higher low. This thing does have room to the upside. Let's mark our zones, and we'll take it from there. So here's our target zone. That's the first target. Second target's over here.
So those red zones are there, but I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. This is fun. So I have a very tight stop loss with Dow Jones. Very tight. It's underneath the trend line because I do not want that thing coming against me, and I don't mind taking a loss because I'll find a better entry.
If you got in 3 candles ago, you got in probably just before this big move up?
Yeah. And this move up is not done. It's just starting.
But also, right now, it's making a run into this upper. Here's the pullback. It's making another run up into this zone right here. but there's
Yeah.
a good chance that by the time it gets up in this, you may already be out of the trade.
Yeah, I'll probably be out of it by the time it hits the third zone.
So we have 3 red zones here. So question is, will this one hold? Will this one hold?
Oh, this
Good
is going to be
chance.
fun, Al. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun to see how this one goes. But this is if it goes up into the zone, a lot of times oftentimes it'll go up into that 11.8 area, which is halfway between the 0 and the 23. I usually use that marker as well. If it comes up into here, it may come up and retag this, which would be what Matt's saying is that's your third zone. Am I right about that? Is that what your target is, up right about in here, looking for a pullback?
Yeah, it's pulling back though, so that's. I'm still not in any drawdown right now, but let's see if it's breathing.
We'll see if this green zone holds. So I'll put this trend line right at the corner of the green zone. As it moves across, I'll make the adjustment.
Let's have some fun, guys.
This 38 right now is the reference that we're looking at. Let me redraw the bottom of this here, so we have this for reference in case it pulls back real hard.
Yeah, let's see.
So here's our lower 25 right in this area.
Okay, so it's coming down now. That's
so here's our higher time frame zones.
Let's see.
Actually, yeah. So now we can go to objects.
Let's see. That is a killer of a drop.
And so now we're looking to see whether how this thing plays out. It came down and retested. So it wasn't an uptrend. It came back down, retested the 61, the higher time from 61, didn't go any lower, and now it's starting. Right now it's basing in between here and here, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the fibs in this area. Now we're going to see if it pulls back. Where is it going to pull back to? Here's the high, here's the low, here's the high. Now this is on the lower time frame. Now we're all the way down to 1 minute chart. And I didn't draw my Fibonacci. Started going it. So right now I'm looking at from here, the pullback. Here's the 23. Here's the 38. Here's the 50. That's where I'm going to draw my pullback zone.
Let's see.
So it's already passed through the 23. This is the zone I'm looking at for a pullback, maybe even down to retest this other orange line. But let's just go to the 50 first.
I'll preface by saying that this wasn't a clean setup, but I'm exploring. I'm seeing what works. So
right now it's we had here's a strong move up. So there was a high, lower, a higher low, higher high. Here's this is a little bit like our M that we have here. Here's the first shoulder of the M. There's a second. There's the middle of the M. But we don't know if this is going to be conclusive or not. We'll see how deep it goes. I would not be surprised to see this M getting taken out down here and then retest up in the side. That's part of the pattern that I look for.
Ooh, this is fun.
Even though it's pulling back. So right now we're looking to see, is this orange line going to hold? I'd like to see a little bit of a break, come down into this shaded area. This is my target to reversal target. And then come up and retest, and then it may make a higher high, but right now we got this zone right here. And I think this could be the preliminary pullback. I think it could go down a little bit lower, come back up and still retest that area, which is where Matt's target's probably going to be.
Let's see. This is going to be fun.
So we'll see if this holds, if this area holds. because a lot of times you'll see that break of the this pullback, middle, pull back a little bit deeper, come back up and retest, and then if it gets, still hasn't gotten up into the upper 25. It still hasn't tagged this zone. Although from this, if you look over here where the last time this zone was challenged, you can see you have another little trend line right here from this wick to somewhere along where the high is right now. So this area is being respected right now.
It's consolidating hard where it is. It doesn't like moving.
Yeah.
The last 5 candles have been nothing.
But if you look over here to the left, you can see this is the area where the last rejection came from. So that means the sellers took over here, drove it down. The buyers and sellers are battling out right in between this orange area here. Sellers took control and brought up, and now the sellers are now buyers took control down here. Sellers took control up here. So that's how you have to kind of think. Look at it as sort of like the war that goes on between the buyers and sellers, and see where does one prevail.
Uh-oh.
Sellers take control. Everybody's equal. The battle's raging. This is the main battlefield. Sellers take control. The buyers come back in. They regain control on this little move up, and now they're back into the who's going to win the battle. Is it going to go lower or is it going to go higher? But right now, this is the zone of indecision right in here. See who wins the battle.
Oh, this is brutal. It's so slow, man. These last 5 candles have been like nothing.
You see, like right now with the high, it's right up in here.
Price is acting weird this morning. Price is acting weird.
See, we do have some. Well, this isn't a crude oil. Well, this is the Dow
do we
Jones.
have news?
Well, it's mostly crude oil news. Crude oil.
It'll
news.
impact it.
Yeah. But we'll see. Right now, we're strong move down.
I'll probably get stopped here.
Again, this is the battle zone. This is the battleground. This is the battlefront. But like I said, I remember I mentioned that I expected it may take out this and then come back up and retest. So I'm going to be looking for a retest up in this area, which is going to be pretty much of the new Fibonacci range that I did. This is the upper 25. Come back down, retest it, which is going to be where this trend line is. And it should start giving us some nice little pullback and maybe start trending on down to retest this area down here.
Yeah, if it fails where it is now, I think we're going to go short for the rest of the day.
Here's the lower 25% of this newer range. And it's actually based on making lower highs and higher lows. Let's see how deep it goes into this pullback.
If it goes another 10 pips, I will be out of the trade. And I'll look for an entry to the downside.
We'll just see there's we don't have a bounce arrow. Let's see, we're still on the one. Again, we're on the 1 minute chart. So, I mean, this looks like a big move, but it's probably not really all that big. No, it's $28 move.
Oh yeah, it's
yeah. But on the Dow Jones, $28 is not a big move on the Dow Jones. That's
no, it's not. It's not. But it's a lot of money in your pocket.
Yeah.
So as long as you have a tight stop loss, you can make some significant profit. But that's the key, is you need a tight stop loss, because you don't want to be 20, 40, 50 pips in drawdown. Because if you're on $1,000 account and you're 100 pips in drawdown on Dow Jones, that's $100. That's 10% of your trading account.
I put some moving averages on here since I didn't draw them earlier.
Mm.
I'm going to put I'll put the 5 and 13 on. That's the one I usually like to see on the 1 minute. Trend, average, moving average. Let's see where the 5 is. And let's see where the 13 is.
All right, we'll see how far this pushes up. If If it goes good, great. If it doesn't, then
We've had a request to look at the pound yen after you're finished with the US 30L.
Okay. If we can start to get this green one to come back up and close above this yellow line, that might be the idea that we can maybe come back up and it's going to retest. Came back down to the 30%. Let's see, where's the dollar on this whole thing? If the dollar is weak, which it is, that gives rise to the upside move of the, this gets things back into the position to go long.
yeah.
I like this.
So
This is a strong pullback. It came back to 38.
it's a good
Now I'd be
sign.
looking. Now I can be looking at maybe taking a. Make sure. Let me take a buy stop on this one.
I don't usually give out my stop loss just because I don't want people to just put a random number in or whatever. But my stop loss on this one is 34,590. If it goes below that 90, I'm out and I have no problem taking that loss.
Trade buy stop. Pull it back down a little bit. That's going to get me in here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what's up. Just keep in mind, if you are taking a US 30 trade, you do need a significant, well, you need at least $1,000 in your trading account to be able to take a US 30. Because what happens is it takes, I think it's almost like $200 of margin if you have 500 times leverage to take the trade. So just be really cognizant that if you're not careful and you accidentally put the wrong lot size, you can get margin called really fast.
So right now I'm not in this trade yet. I already have a target, a buy stop set. So if it comes back, if it gets a strong push up, it's going to get me into the trade and maybe hopefully keep on going up to around the 34,644 level. So I'm going to put my target in here. And then we'll go and take a look at that other one. So it's 36, 34. I'm going to use 34,630. 34,630. That's my target. And that's going to be right up here, right near where the high of this, where this pullback came out of. Now, Eva, what was the other one that you were talking about?
Pound yen. Oh,
I'm sorry. Say again, Eva.
The pound yen, yeah.
Pound yen. Okay, let's take a look at that while we're waiting for this one.
For sure.
I'm in this trade now, so we'll keep an eye on that. I know Matt's watching this, so pound yen.
Very closely.
Pound yen. Here we go. Pound yen. I remember to get those moving averages up first before I start drawing stuff. Because that's the first key. Are the moving averages in the right direction, heading down? Pound yen. Let's take a look and see where they are heat-wise. Pound is weak. Yen is... Pound is weak, yen is strong. Pound is weak, yen is strong. Pound is weak, yen is strong. We got a 3-point spread. We're going to be trading to the strength of the yen, which is going to be to the short side. And so let's draw the Fibonacci's. Here's my range. Strong move up, pull back. This was the yesterday's money zone. We have a higher low, higher high, higher low. Have a little bit of a trend coming in. It's coming in right into this area. We have a bounce arrow. By the time we got the arrow, though, did we have a trade? That's only 12 pips, not enough room. Let's see what time zone. Let's get on a 15-minute chart to make sure. There's not enough room to this zone. And we have a straw move up, pull back. Here's our wedge to the upside. So we had this little pattern right here. And it broke, coming back down to retest this range. Here's our low. I'm going to take it over to the corner of that range right now, because this is, if it tries to break through this would be the next target from here down to here. That's 20 pips. So if we can get we have a, on the 15-minute, we have the bounce, arrow, go, but it's got to get through this. So right now I'm be looking for it to come back down, retest it. This would be my Fibonacci range from here to here. And so I'm going to draw this, because if this little zone breaks, this is going to be the next target. And the next target is going to be the 25% area of the bottom of this range. So my target zone on this one is going to be this lower 25. Since the yen is stronger to the strength is to the downside with the yen being stronger, it's got to get through this zone. So I'm looking for strong. Okay, so here's our first pullback. Here's a 38, here's a 50, here's a 61. This zone is right at the 61% pullback of this move. And this area was already tested once. Strong move up, came back down, tested. This is where the buyers came in, right in this area. That's going to be right at the 50 to 61%. Let's see, let me do this. Here's the 61. These are the target zones from the up move.
If the Dow breaks this top here, then we're off to the races.
Let's see where we at here. And so right now we're still waiting for this thing. We have a couple more minutes to go on this one. Here's our zone. Now it did break this. This was the area it broke. This is almost like a little head and shoulders area to possibly come to the downside. So I like this thing to the downside. I'll take this one off just because we don't need that reference right now. Here's our, this is the area, this area right in here is the area that we need to be paying attention to. We're probably going to get a little bit of a bounce off of this. I'm going to take my fibs, get my upper 25 range in here before I take the fibs off. This is our daily upper 25 range. And the money zone, yesterday's money zone was right down here in the lower 25, so it could come down and retest this range, which is making new highs, but here's the pullback. Now, we're going to redraw this, take the fibs off. Let's see, fibs, not G's. Take the fibs off of this, and then we're going to be looking at the fibs to the downside now. Here's our strong move down. Here's a strong drop, base, drop. I would expect a possible retest of this little area right in here. This little area has some significance. Even for as small as it may be, it's got significance. We draw the Fibonacci. Now we're looking for our targets. Strong move down. Looking for the pullback. And so this area right here, here's a 23. And so I'm going to draw it with the top of this. This is a target for the pullback. And if it breaks this trend line, which is basically this low from this area right in here, if it breaks that, it could very well be going lower. I don't want to be, we could take it long here and look for a pullback, but I don't want to, it's got the pressure to the downside. I don't want to be going long until I get the confirmation that this is going to, that this isn't going to hold. I'd rather see a pullback, have enough room to get my target into here and look for it to break.
Oh, Al, you had a really tight take profit then. You're out.
Oh, am I out already?
Your take profit was too small, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's still $46 there.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Still money in the bank. Still money in the bank.
It is. I was gonna I didn't notice what your stop loss was, so your take profit. So I was going to tell you how far do you want to take this thing?
Well, my profit was right here at the red zone. That was my profit. And so that was pretty much, I got in down here, had a pullback, got in at the 23 line, came back up, retested 0, and now it's went up higher. So this thing's still to the upside.
It's got gas.
It still has some gas.
Yeah.
And you see my UK 100, it was real strong pull. It's recovered half of when I took that hedge overnight, I took the profit. And right now, if I were to get out of this, I'd be break even on that or the hedge. But right now, I still see this thing moving to the upside.
Yeah.
On the this is on the FTSE. Actually, they call it the FTSE.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Whatever. Whatever works. Whatever they want to call it.
Here's where I got into this thing. The FTSE 100. If anybody's from the UK, if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm pretty sure that's the FTSE. They call it the FTSE 100. Let's see. Yeah, here's our zone right now. It's kind of coming up to retest this. Like I said, if I close this trade out right now, you'll see I'm down 272 on this. But if I look and see where my profit was at 265, I'm just about to a break even on that overall trade yesterday. I still think it's got some room to the upside. But anyway, back to what were we looking at before? We were looking at the British
pound yen.
Pound yen. Let's keep an eye on this one. Now the question is this thing going to bounce off of this trend line, which is basically reference to this pivot here. Now I could have had this. I could have drawn the pivot over here where the where this little hit was here, and then extended out, which would have been this would be higher high. I could draw this trend line. Now this trend line got broken, but this one's still holding. If this little zone breaks, we can maybe. I'm still looking for the pullback. Now we don't know how far down it's going to go, but I'm still looking for a pullback to come back down and to retest this area. But we did get the break of this trend line that was broken. If you look at from here, this was a higher low. This was a higher low, strong move up, rejection. Here's the high, here's the pullback. We had a little bit of a wedge in this area. That wedge got broken. This one got retested. This wedge got broken, came back, got broke. It kind of retested right here in this little area. And then it dropped, and now it's retesting this. This one got broke. This range got broken. This range got broken. This one's about to break. Here's the origin of the move. If this goes, we can probably take this thing short, but we never did get. There's a drop, base, drop. This thing's probably going to roll you down here. But we never got the pullback to validate it. And see, if you had taken where that zone was, if you had taken a bounce off of that with all that downward pressure, you probably now be real sorry that you did, looking to try and go long. That's one reason I didn't want to take that. I was waiting for the bounce to retest it, but it never did bounce off of that. This was the area this was the wedge that kind of got broken. I could have even moved this one over here. It's going to be the same point either way, pretty much. A little bit of basing, strong move up, a little basing, strong. This area is where it came out, broke the trend line, and now it's heading on down. We're a little bit late. This arrow would have given us. Let's see where are we at here. The time frame, 15 minutes. Yeah, that basically arrow gave us the bounce, the arrow to the go, but we couldn't take it because of that zone. But now we could still probably. I'm still waiting for a pullback because right now I don't think we'd have our 20 pips. Well, actually, we would too. We still have 20 pips. We still want to see a pullback. Have it take a little bit of a breath.
Yeah, Dow Jones is just taking a little breather too. Taking a pullback.
like to see this green cross the yellow, pull back, and then maybe look at to give me my target down here. Here's the top of the 25. And right now is right now at the third target zone before the lower 25. But we just don't quite, that's about 8 pips. You could barely get, I don't know if we'll get in here this one or not. This is the origin of this move down. So you can see the 5-wave motion. Here's wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is coming into the 5th wave right now, right at this target zone. So let's just keep on hunting right now. Now with that Dow Jones, let's just see if there's anything. Ooh, that one's starting to really drop. Oh, there we go. This is our target.
Yeah, it's breathing right now. It came back into the area. Hindsight's 2020. If I would have known better, I would have just exited, take my take profit. Remember when I was teasing you about your take profit being too small? Well, I could have exited there, have a hefty, nice, well, not hefty, but pretty stinking good.
But you can see when I drew this M, remember I said I expected this to get broken and then retest?
Yeah.
And I was expected to come on up to this area, probably at least to maybe retest the 0 line.
Yeah.
And you can see actually now starting to start trending again. Here's a high, here's a higher low. And this thing could still keep on going up. But this was a key point right here. This area right here. Here's our M.
Oh, you bugger. And that's why you got out.
It broke the middle. And I was looking for it to come and retest the 0 line. I thought it'd probably go up and retest a little bit higher, which it did. But my target was right here right at the bottom of this red zone.
Yep.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah. I get that.
But you can see right now this M is no longer in effect. Now the new M is going to be, this is still now I'm going to take this off.
Oh, she looks like she's making a nice wedge there.
I'm going to take that off.
Right.
I'm going to take this off. The fact that this was violated, was not a bad thing. The fact this was violated after this got violated, that's not a good thing. So that's why now the M is going to look like this. Here's now when it comes back up, we have a new
zigzag.
Up. And so now here's the strong move up, here's the M, here's the trend. But now if it breaks this one right now, I'm going to be looking at this thing to go down lower. This is divergence right here. You probably have divergence. So from this point to this point, from this one, actually we have a little upper channel going on right here. Here's a high, here's a higher high, here's a higher high, here's our upper channel. Here's our anchor, here's a hit, here's a little breach of a hit, retest. Now we're looking to see what happens with this part of the M. Now we can draw our Fibonacci. It's still up in the upper 25. So we're now still looking at this being the extreme, this being the other extreme. This is still the channel we're looking at. What we don't know is when it's going to break. Let me redraw my fibs. Object list, Fibonacci's. Delete that. So now this is the new range up to here. And we'll go and, well, the original range still holds. Here's the upper 25. The blue zone is the upper 25 of the higher time frame, which reference these targets. Now we're going to be looking at a pull. Now this made a new high, but now we're looking at this being the pullback to here. And so right now it's range bound between this area. So what I'm looking at right now, I'm looking for a strong pullback. Here's the top. Looking for a strong pullback. We don't know where it's going to be, but let's just project it to come down and retest where the bottom of the M is. I want to see it get down close to that area, and I'm going to start looking to see where the pullback of this channel would be. Again, you project it. If it does one thing, you do this. If it does another thing, you do that. Now we have an anchor. Here's a hit. This one, I look at this as being like the head fake. Strong move down. Here's a pullback. Now we don't have enough range right now, but this would be the target. We came down here, closed below this target zone. Came back up and retested it. Now we have to see it come back down and retest the zone again. This is how you can stay out of trouble.
Hey, isn't that a nice wedge, on the 1 minute?
Mm-hmm. I think what he's talking about is...
It's just the tiny one right where we had that pullback
this
after
right
your
here.
exit.
You're looking at this little spot right in here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah, exactly. Some nice small little wedge thing going on.
Now, and we have this is the moving average that everything was following. Broke it, retested it. Here's the head fake to the downside. Here's the head fake to the upside. Now we're going to see what happens. Is it going to keep going higher, or is it going to come back up and retest this trend? If it breaks through here, we could be looking at coming down, and then this could be the target zone. This would be the first target, second target, third target to the downside. And we'll see. In the meantime, we look around and see if there's anything else to be checking. British US, 15 minute, see what that's doing. Bounce, arrow, here's the arrow. And go, let's see, British, US. Take a look and see where we are. Here's the British, here's the US is a little bit stronger. British is still weak. We want to trade this to the strength of the dollar, which is to the downside. This could be a possibility here. Do we have a range here? That's 18 pips. If we go where the pullback is, here's our target. Pullback. And I'm going to be looking at this move strong. Here's the arrow. Actually, here's where the I had a couple little zigzags up here on this. Let's see where we're at here. Let's check our lower time frame and see if there's any zones in the way. So maybe an okay trade here. Not gonna have a lot of time to play with this.
Yep. If I'm giving it to about 9 o'clock, at the 9 o'clock hour, if it doesn't break out to the top side or whatever, I'll be out. And I'll be calling this the end of my trading day. So we'll see what happens.
Here's our pullback. And I'm going to take a sell stop right down here. If it comes back down, I'll be using this for my target. So right now we had the arrow, which is right around where this orange line is. We're having the pullback into my zone. And now if it can come back down and break through here, we're looking at this for the target. And let's see, from the Fibonacci, let me get the zones in now. But here's the target. The orange, the green line is the target. We could possibly get into here and then bounce back out again. We'll see what happens. Right now, I'm not in the trade. Looking for the pullback. And just so it's not too confusing for anybody, let me draw some lines here. Here's a higher time frame zone. It would be losing my sight here myself. Objects. Let's go to the higher time frame chart. Here's the bottom, here's the top. Lower 25, upper 25 up here. This is a sideways range coming down. Here's our arrow, which is all the way down at the bottom. We had the pullback, and we'll see if it's going to get us in. Here's the green zone's the target. And if it comes down into this blue line right here, I would be out of this trade. So that would be my target. If I get filled, this is going to be my target area right in here, which is going to be the 141.29, call it.
I won't stay in this trade longer than the 9 o'clock hour because of the nature of what this thing likes to do. So we'll see if it.
So this one here's my entry. My target would be right here at the 88.2, which is halfway between this blue zone before it gets to the green zone. And we'll see what happens if it has enough push to the downside. 1 minute chart. Looking to see, make sure all my, I forgot to draw my moving averages again. Okay, let's put it back on here. There's my 13. Right now it's still following the 13. Make sure the green doesn't cross over above. I'll get that on here. And the 5 and the 13 are the main ones that I pay a lot of attention to for the entries. You can see the green, it had a little pullback, didn't cross over the yellow. Coming in right now is still, this was a nice little pullback. And now we're looking for the target down here. And I'm just about ready to get into this trade. I'm in. Had the pullback. Now it's just driving in, and we'll see what happens with this. I should be able to have my stop pretty much above this blue line right here. If the trade works out, it should not pull back beyond this moving average. I'll just keep it above this other zone. Be 141.55. Actually, I probably can just do a 15 pip stop on this one. We entered it at 41.38, 48.52.
Hey, Al, so we got our 3-minute warning, my friend.
Okay,
the
thank
9
you.
o'clock session is gonna boot up.
Do we know who's going to do that today?
I have no clue. I got too much to do with work and stuff, so I don't know what the status is on that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if all I can do is say go over there to see try and get in and see if anybody's there to have the session today.
Mm-hmm.
And right there is we're coming up into my target. Nice little push down. This is why I like these sell stops, or the sell stop in this case where it pulled back, and it took her. We had the bounce, and just drove right down. I had no drawdown at all. It got into.
That's
the
a
trade
great trade, Al. That's a great trade.
And we're coming in as soon as if it comes anywhere close to my target, if it doesn't get me out automatically, I'll just pull the trade, and I'll take my profit. And I'll just keep watching this.
Love it.
It's in my blue zone. I'm looking for it to go a little bit deeper, which is this 88.2. This one last little push. Let's see how this candle closes. If I get a wick on this candle, I'll just close the trade. Not much of a wick. Very, very tight wick. One last little push.
9 o'clock.
No, we don't want to get greedy. And there we go. I'm out of the trade. And any other last minute questions before we go? If not, thanks for everybody for coming in. We're glad to have you. Appreciate your questions. And we'll see you tomorrow, 7:30 to 9. See you then.
Thanks, everybody. See you.
Right. See you guys all later. Bye.